Okay, everything is up and ready to go for you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, being 6:30, I will call this special meeting to order. Roll call shows that, let's see, who are we? We're missing Tim, aren't we? As far as on the committee. Yes, I don't see him anyplace. Okay, and before I go to public comment, I need to make a some of the information did not get sent out to, or it got sent out, but it has not been reviewed by the people on the board. And so it'll be a lot of explanation as to what we're going through here. And we will be putting up the phase 2.5 adaptive play verbiage that Stacy had sent over. So at this time, we will move into public comment. If there's any public comment on any issue not related to the adaptive play, now would be the time to speak to that.
Chuck, I assume I'll speak when you start talking about Menominee Youth Hockey, or do I speak in this time?
No, yeah, you are correct.
Okay.
Because it is an agenda item, you will be speaking at that time. Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yes, yes.
We did not receive any other requests to speak.
Okay. Okay. So then on the agenda, we'll go into item number 4, which is considerations for actions to be taken by the committee. Amendment of something previously adopted on December 2nd, 2020 meeting, Menominee Youth Hockey, Finetti Ice Center operations. And I don't suppose, since you guys didn't get a chance to look at it, Krista, could you put up the corporate council report that corporate council sent out?
Yes, I can do that.
And then that way everybody can read that, and it explains as to why we're having this meeting. Can you make it? There you go. Yeah.
Right.
Okay. So I'll give everybody, or let me know when you've done reading this, or you're satisfied, or ask any questions as to this document. So if please let me know when you are done reading it.
I'm okay.
Okay.
I'm done.
Okay.
Okay. Mike?
Yeah, I'm good. I said that before.
Oh, I'm sorry. I did not hear you. I apologize. Okay, so does anybody have any questions as to what this documentation says as to why we're having this special meeting? Okay, if not, then Krista, could you go back to the adaptive play phase 2.5? And I guess first off, what we need to, because we did have a motion that did pass on the previous meeting, we'll have to rescind that motion in order to move on. So I guess I'm asking, is there a motion to rescind the previous motion? And then
I'll rescind my motion to do it, and then make a motion to adapt the new one that's in front of us.
Well, we'll do the rescind one first, and then we'll go on to the next one. So a motion has been made to rescind the motion that was made the other night. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, a motion has been made and seconded. Is there any further discussion? If not, all in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same?
Aye.
Okay, that has been rescinded. Okay, now Mike, you're making a motion. I'll let you say it in your own words.
I make a motion to adapt the 2.5 that's in front of us at this time. To accept 2.5.
To accept, okay. Okay, a motion's been made to accept phase 2.5 adaptive play as presented. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, a motion's been made and seconded. So now we'll go into discussion. Or is there any discussion? As you can see, there's, and I don't know if everybody's had a chance to read all the changes that was made. Or Stacy, if you want to speak, I guess now would be a time to speak.
Okay. I guess, can I ask a question? Can I share a video? I think I can show you guys right on the screen because I know some of you haven't been to the facility. Would you be open to that?
How long is the video?
Like a minute.
Oh, yes, sure. Go ahead.
I'm just going to turn the lights down a little so you can see it.
Thank you for letting us play hockey. I'm so glad that we get to play hockey. Thank you for letting us 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 play hockey.
I play that because I think many of you haven't been to the facility and seen how much work we truly have put into making our arena safe for these kids. I'm a volunteer, as is every member of our association who helps out. And the amount of time we have put into making sure that our arena is a safe place to be has been more than any season in history of making a hockey season happen. And I think you can see from the video that these kids are getting dressed at home. They're wearing masks. They're following the rules. To date, we have not traced one player-to-player, coach-to-coach, player-to-coach, or coach-to-player transmission. Yes, as KT mentioned on the last call, we have had some COVID cases in our association, but because of the strict rules we have in place, it hasn't affected any other player. These kids come here as a place to get away, to express their, joy, and their mental health is at risk if we don't let them be there, in my opinion. We have conversed with our own, medical experts within our association. We have multiple MDs who I think some of you have even heard from, who've helped us with these guidelines, who've helped us write them, who've been there cleaning with us. We have put a plethora of policies in place outside of even the ones you're looking at today to make sure our arena is safe, clean, cleanly. And we have rules stricter than even the USA Hockey MD from Rochester Mayo is recommending. So while you have seen phase 2.5 in front of you, and Mike, I appreciate your motion to approve it. I just want everyone on the line to rest assured that we are keeping these kids safe. We came up with 2.5 without you. You had motion for, phase 3 back in September. We proactively adjusted that to make our rink even safer. And as I, was at the rink this weekend for every single game, making sure that the rules were followed, I've never felt more confident that we can provide a safe place for these kids. Many of these kids, the only positive reinforcement they get is from a coach or a teacher every day. And as a parent, as a community member, and I hope for you guys too, you let us continue giving these kids a place to play. And I know, Bob Schultz has some comments as well, but I just really want you to know I'm a volunteer here and I'm doing this for the kids. And I really hope you vote for them too. When you look at the numbers for those kids, it's so low. And, I know that in this 2.5, it does allow parents, chaperones to be there. But that's what's safest for these kids too. If we don't allow their parents to come in, they're now going to start carpooling to games, increasing the risk. Those parents are going to be gathering in parking lots or going to bars. That doesn't help our community. We put in our rules that we could have a parent there for the best safety for everyone. So while I know that's sort of a difference, you can see in that phase 0.25 that we have made many changes to ensure the safety of our community and most importantly, these kids.
Okay, thank you. Bob, did you have some comments that you wanted to make? Stacy made reference.
Yep. Thank you, Stacy. Thank you, Chairman Maves, Chairman Bartlett, and committee members. Some of you know that I'm a board member for the MYHA Ice Board, and I'm here tonight representing their consensus. As facility managers for the Finetti Community Center, the Ice Board has an obligation to not only adhere to our lease agreement with the county, but also we have an obligation to maintain a quality facility for our user groups, primarily UW Stout, Menominee School District's varsity hockey team, and the MYHA organization. Each of those organizations also have their own governing bodies that are making decisions based on all the COVID guidelines, public health guidelines, government guidelines, and their respective sport organizations such as WIA, WIAC, WAHA, USA Hockey, etc. All three of these organizations have decided to go forward with offering the playing of games under limited spectator rules, which will only allow for 2 parents or chaperones per player. Those organizations have scheduled games with WIA, regional athletic directors, and WAHA regional teams based on their governing body's decisions to go forward with play. Tonight, we're before your governing body requesting the authorization to play games as approved by the other governing bodies with limited spectators per player. Why is it so important to have a parent or a chaperone attend games? It's primarily for safety of the players. We want a parent, a chaperone, or guardian present in the rink during these games in case there's an injury to other players. Almost all the MYHA players are between middle school age and kindergarten. If an injury were to occur, we need to have a parent or guardian immediately available to assist and provide advice regarding their injury. So I would encourage you to consider allowing for games to be played with limited spectators, specifically 2 parents, chaperones, or guardians per player, as the other governing bodies who we also serve from the university and school district have already decided. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Does any other comments at this time?
If I may, Supervisor Maves.
Yes.
Hi, this is KT Gallagher. I'm the Dunn County Health Department Director. I really appreciate the breadth and scope of environmental controls that MYHA has put in place. We have been talking over months, and I do appreciate that. Reading through your return to the rink, as well as some of the other documents that you provided, I don't want to discount any of that. You do a fantastic job. What I'm here to say is that hockey itself carries a risk, high risk contact sports. So in the documentation that you guys provided, there was a study that was showing sensor readings of impacts between players. And so it does show that the impacts are fairly minimal, and they constitute about 3 seconds of contact. But if you dive deeper into what's provided, it actually says these data indicate the duration of time that players are in immediate proximity, but it does not provide direct evidence as to how long players are in close but not immediate proximity. So one of the things that is really concerning is that we know transmission can happen when people are within 6 feet of one another. Just because they're not in physical contact touching each other doesn't mean there isn't a risk of transmission. The other thing I want to point out is that we know that gathering in large groups can create spreading events. Back in October, I put out guidance that limits gatherings indoors to 10 people. This would be much larger than that. We're looking at 75 people in this rink potentially. So when you make your decision, looking at all of the amazing things that youth hockey has put together, also hold that this is a risk. And if we say that this is okay in a county building to gather this many people, there's no reason people won't take that as permission to gather in other places. I know that this is a no-win situation. I hear from people every day that I am not being strict enough. I am not keeping people safe. If this was serious, I'd close the schools. I also hear from people that don't want to wear a mask. What I'm asking you to do is to look at all of the data and all of the stories and choose to keep our community safe, protect our whole community, not just our players, but their parents and their grandparents, so that we don't spread COVID-19 in a way that makes people sick or kills people. Thank you.
Want to make further comment, and I do appreciate the work that KT has done with me. We've been having monthly calls, and while we definitely have a different view on the situation, I do appreciate her work. I do want to just call out, because I'm not sure you all got the email. We did look at the Finetti Ice Arena, and the capacity is estimated to be about 1,200, and our average team in the association is 12 with 2 parents, which don't always come. We were looking at 60 attendees. Obviously, if you add the players in, a little more, but that's going to be around 6.25% of the actual building capacity. So just to put that number in place, and if you looked at our rules, we do not allow gathering in the building. They have to leave immediately, and hence you saw in the video, the gates to sort of have them file out. So just wanted to provide some clarity on that.
Okay, thank you.
As a follow-up to Stacy's comments, I wished I would have brought the picture, but I was going to take a picture. I did take a picture of the stands. The stands alone can seat 800 people. So the 6% that Stacy was talking about, there's plenty of room for social distancing in those stands for just the parents as they show up. And so there's plenty of room there, and we just hope that you consider the importance of allowing the games for kids as well with that limited spectators.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments at this time? Do we need to put the page back up so you can read the red print, or did everybody get enough time to read the changes that they're proposing in 2.5? Or would you like to have that back up to read it again? I want to make sure everybody has had ample time to read it and study it, since it didn't get out. Does anybody want to look at it again?
Chuck, would you like me to highlight what's in red on there for those who maybe haven't read it? Would that be helpful?
Well, we actually had it on the screen here before, and
Okay.
so it and it came up, nice and red and easily readable. I just wanted to make sure that everybody had a chance to read it, and in case it did spark any other questions or whatever, because one of the things that at the last meeting, it was my understanding that there would be no spectators in the thing. So the fact that now that is one difference than what I had from last time. So I just want to make sure everybody gets a fair shot to look at it and to ask any questions, because now's the time to, if there are questions or concerns or issues, this is the time to bring them out.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Paul Miller, I'm the county manager. I did have one question for clarification. Mr. Schultz mentioned the importance of having a parent available for the players, should there in particular be an injury, God forbid. But the protocol that's being proposed has two parents, and I'm just wondering if some additional rationale can be given for why two parents as opposed to one per player.
We did talk about this at our meeting back when we put together phase 3. So just for reference, phase 3 actually said immediate family. So there wasn't a number attached. And part of the reason we at that time put immediate family is because we do have divorced families, and we didn't feel like, having to select one parent or one side of the family was important at the time. And, in all transparency, if you have families, parents driving, from a faraway distance, having somebody sit in the car could, in our minds, lead to gathering in the parking lots or such. So just there's other circumstances that we felt tied into, having that number two. Doesn't mean that every family is going to bring two people. A lot of families have kids at home. So like myself, I have two other kids. If I have one playing hockey, my husband's going to be at home with the other kids likely. So there's many circumstances where there wouldn't be two, but we just felt like based on the family need, that was an important factor.
If I may follow up, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
How would youth hockey, how would you feel if it were limited to one parent or guardian per player? Would that still allow the games to take place and provide the kind of coverage that Mr. Schultz was referencing? Is that something that you feel you could live with and without compromising your goals, which ultimately, as I'm hearing, are about allowing the games so that the kids have that format?
My proposal 2.5 has 2 spectators, and that's what we have on the table, and that's what we're asking for.
Thank you.
Paul, a follow-up to
I
that.
have a question.
Yes, go ahead, Bob.
Excuse me, Paul, another issue is that I mentioned before that we're responsible for several other governing bodies, and the school district had already decided that they would allow 2 parents to their high school game. So we're trying to accommodate what they've already considered also in their proposal. And so that's why we're trying to balance this with all of our user groups. And so that's part of it as well. So we would hope that the vote would be and include 2.
Thanks, Bob.
As a follow-up. I have a
Go
question
ahead, Don,
about-
and then Mike, you can respond.
Okay. I was just wondering if the high school and scout play here, are they going to follow your rules, or will they have their own rules, and how will that be all negotiated?
Yeah. No, great question, Ron. Yes, so they have to follow the rules of the Finetti Ice Arena. our rules. They in fact have some different rules, but they're even more stricter than what's in our document. For example, the high school team is not allowing away fans or away parents. They only allow home parents. For them, that works because their kids are old enough, they don't need somebody to drive them there. So for us, that wasn't an option because, you can't have a 6-year-old drive to the hockey rink on their own. But for the high school, their spectator rules are actually even more stricter than ours, but they at minimum have to follow our regulations. And just one sidebar is we're also, as an association, making our members follow our rules at other arenas as well, just to protect our community, because we do have the strictest rules in the area.
Okay, Mike, you had a question or comment?
Well, this 2.5 to me is pretty much what we discussed last meeting. I was under the understanding that there would be 2 parents when I made the motion, and everything in here is pretty much in line with what I expected. We approved it then. I'm not sure why now we're trying to talk everyone out of it again. The Hockey Association has some financial responsibilities to themselves to maintain some, they got to pay for the ice. They have to do this. So they got some economic responsibility. We as a county lease the property to them. Let's let them take care of their property in what's best. I believe they're doing it very, very safe. They have to follow the WIAA, the university guidelines. There's plenty of guidelines. It's not like they're just winging it off the cuff. I believe that the social distancing, my gosh, they're way apart. They have a huge arena, but yet we don't worry about everyone going to Walmart or somewhere else. I think we're getting a little out in left field here. And I'm getting a little irritated, but I guess I'll shut up. I'm sorry. That's my 2 cents.
Okay, thank you. And the reason we're discussing it again is the formality that we didn't have it in writing before. That's why we're bringing it back, just so everybody understands that.
Just for clarification, the document I did send prior to the other meeting did have, these same rules in place. So I just, I know there's some misunderstanding on how that all came about, but this was in an email I'd sent to all of you prior to your last meeting. I'm stating these, more restrictive rules as we were going into December 1. So nothing has changed from that perspective. Even when I sent that email, it did say 2 spectators and all the restrictions.
Okay. Bob, do you have another?
Thanks, Chairman. I have a question for KT. I know that there's a number of religious organizations that are operating, and they're operating under the 25% rule. And I understand you're 10 people per indoor limit. Can you explain the 25% rule versus the 10?
So the 25% rule was something that came out under the governor's order. And again, what I put forward is not an order, it is a recommendation. And it's the same recommendation that I provided to the Menominee Area School District, as well as all of our school districts, about gathering and sports. So not able to speak specifically to the 25%, but I am able to speak to how recommendations in outside community venues are different than recommendations within our own county venue.
Okay, thank you, KT, because I just wanted to make sure that the board members understood that the 25% rule, there's many organizations in this community that's what they're going by. And I know our church is 42 people. We can't have more than 42 people in it. And that's the 25% rule. And so we're meeting that mandate by far with only 6%. So it's a huge facility. And we just want to make sure that you understand that for those that may not have had the opportunity to visit the center.
Okay. Yes, Dave.
A couple of things. I guess a question, what groups are using the rink right now for games? Is it the young kids, I realize it sounds like high school is Stout using it also? Junior varsity, what all groups are using it?
Yeah, right now for games it's just MYHA, so our youth groups, and then the high school. UW Stout, my understanding is does not plan to play games until February 1 at this point, but they are practicing.
So the high school's using it at this time?
Yes,
And everybody younger than that?
correct.
This is a real tough decision because I realize that KT, if I was in that position, her main focus is trying to keep everybody healthy. And to do that, the best would be that we would not get together at all. And we wouldn't have schools and going on, and we'd stay in our own little circle. But we have a tough decision because we just can't shut everything down. But on the other hand, this is a county building, and I've always said that we have to try to support our health director, and I've done that with meetings and stuff. So, boy, this is a tough decision. I'd like to hear from KT, though. I kind of asked the other day, you know, schools are doing sports. Do you think hockey is not as safe as some of the other sports that are going on right now? Given with 2 masks, I would think that would be safer, but I don't know. What's your opinion on that, KT?
So I apologize. My internet connection is a little tenuous this evening, so I hope I don't break out too bad. I do appreciate the mask mandate. I do see that in the 2.5. I do think that makes a difference. I think that we have also seen transmission in high school sports on benches and buses and extracurricular, co-curricular activities outside of the arena. There are some sports that are not as risky as this, like cross country. But high contact, high risk sports do carry a risk.
Okay.
Did I lose you?
No, I didn't know if you were done talking or not. The last thing you said was it does carry a risk. Cross country was not as bad. Was there more that you wanted to say, or was that it?
Thank you. So we have seen cases, and we have seen cases in teams that have been between players and between coaches and players. That is concerning. Also, looking at the college, they have, like they were sharing, additional testing criteria for their players that's separate from what we're dealing with these younger kiddos. So there's a risk there as well. So I do believe that hockey, like basketball, volleyball, football, does have a higher risk of transmission than other sports.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments or questions as far as what's been presented here this evening?
Yeah, I just like to comment, please.
Sure, go ahead, Don.
You know, like Bartlett said, Dave Bartlett said that, you know, we can't close everything down, and that's true. But I think we need to look at what is essential. And I realize it's difficult for these kids that they can't play sports. I had kids and I have grandkids. kids who are in sports, and it's difficult. But you look at the big picture, our hospitals are loaded. Our healthcare workers are stressed. I know I have a daughter who's a nurse, and she works in the Mayo system, and she can attest to that. And this is just another way that we're going to spread this out. So I can't see where things have changed since our last meeting. So I'll reluctantly be voting no.
Okay,
We have heard from, as you have in emails, from doctors and nurses that, and I respect what KT does. Her job is, as Dave said, to be very conservative with the health issues of the county. That's her job. That's what she's supposed to be doing. We're here to balance what her input is with what we need to do for the community. So we can't go just strictly off one point of view. If you look at some of the other points of views from the doctors and nurses we've seen emails from, they're also in the medical industry and they're saying it would be okay. So let's keep an open mind.
okay, thank you. Any other comments, questions? Dave?
You knew I was gonna say something. Like I said, this is a real tough decision. And I guess I'll have to support that I will not support this, simply because it is at a county facility and we need to support our health director. I really have mixed feelings that I think they're doing a wonderful job. I think they're doing probably a lot better job than most sports teams or athletic things right now. But I'm going to have to vote no on this because it is at a county facility and we need to support our health director. So I will vote because there's only 4 from your committee this time. Or
Okay,
is there 5? No, there's only
no, there's only 4. Any other comments?
Is that, I mean, is the vote no at this point?
No,
Jeff?
we have not
Okay.
taken the vote yet. We are still in discussion.
Okay, I would like to make comment after that, please.
You have a comment right now? Go ahead.
No, I'll wait to see how I'll just hold tight.
Okay. Anybody else have any discussions or questions? Okay, if not, then a motion's been made and seconded to move forward with phase 2.5 as presented in this document. At this time, we'll do a vote and we will do a roll vote just to make sure I don't misunderstand anybody. Don? I did not hear that, Don. Would you please repeat it?
No.
Okay, Don votes no. Okay, Mike?
Yes.
Mike votes yes. Ron? Ron? I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. Would you please repeat that? Ron votes yes. I vote no. Dave?
no.
No. The motion has failed on a 3-2 vote. Stacy, you have a comment? I'm sorry, I can't hear. You're muted.
Thank you all for, bearing with me for the last few months here. Obviously, I've been in communication with you guys numerous times. Hopefully you've seen evidence of how I've tried to help us at the Finetti Ice Arena make this a safe place. We have worked with, legal counsel, shared legal counsel with you guys over the years and working with the Finetti Ice Arena in regards to our lease. But I have, reached out to our own legal counsel as we felt like it was time to do so, just to get our, own learnings and guidance of what our lease actually entails, the county facility committee and the county to do. And at this point, our lawyer has stated that the lease actually, we are within our lease to operate in phase 2.5, that we're not actually violating anything in the lease agreement, per how it is written. I was hoping that it wouldn't have to come into a conversation of legal matters and involving lawyers, and hence why I've put, hundreds of hours into trying to make this right and make the documents, visible to you guys, so you knew how we were operating at the Finetti Ice Arena, and get you rest assured that we were doing this right. But at this point, we are going to have to, take next steps with our lawyer, and based on what the lease agreement states. So I guess you can provide me some guidance on how you want to handle next steps, because I do have a letter that, he has written in regards to if this would be the outcome of tonight's meeting.
Okay, I guess, Mr. Miller, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I guess the proper procedure would be to send it to our corporate counsel. Have
Okay.
your counsel send it to our counsel. Is that correct, Mr. Miller?
Actually, I'll just go ahead and send it to me, Stacy, and I will
Oh.
make sure that it's forwarded to our corporate counsel.
Okay. Bob, did you have a comment?
I'd like to thank you also for listening in on us and hearing our point of view on this. And I know that some of you know that for probably the last couple of 3 years now, we've been working with Nick, and we appreciate working with Nick because he's been kind of serving both our needs. And met with him during the last discussions on our lease, which was pre-COVID. Had indicated that, he had made some errors on updating that lease and needed to get those corrected. During those discussions, Nick was indicating to us that, we're getting to be the type of organization that needs to be probably considering our own legal representation. So what Stacy just shared isn't something that we wanted to share because we felt like it would be adversarial. We're hoping that this vote would be favorable. And then we could come back, have this joint discussion. We could update the lease, and that updating was basically a recommendation from Nick originally anyway. And so by no means do we want you to do this as adversarial. We want, because we have enjoyed our partnership with you, but at the same time, this is a typical landlord lease situation.
He's the head of the hockey.
We feel like we have certain rights here that we would like to share with you. And so, Paul, just keep us in the loop on what our next steps are. We do have WIA games scheduled at that arena. And we also have Waha games scheduled. There will be scheduled games with WIAC that we have to, with college games, that this is going to impact. And that's why we're so concerned. We're not doing this for just the benefit of these kids. We also have other user groups that are depending on us. And so we need to make sure that we're working with those user groups as well on their behalf. So thank you very much.
And just, I guess my last comment in relation to that is the lease actually requires the county to give us a 30-day notice if you feel like we're in default of the lease, stating which section of the lease we're, not following, and let us make improvements from there. But I will send this letter over to Paul.
Okay, thank you. Okay, there is no other action items on our agenda this evening. So therefore, the meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Good night, all.